you very much. Excellent opening statements. Scary, but excellent. I mentioned that Senator Rounds, Ernst, and Sullivan and I spent time in the South China Sea. It was disturbing to see, to witness what's going on there, because frankly we didn't know the magnitude and what kind of effect it had on our allies there, the Philippines, the Taiwan, South Korea. It's having a it's intimidating our allies. And to see, the word reclamation is not very accurate because they're not reclaiming land. This is land that never was there, so they're creating land and without any legal authority to do so. And so it's obvious that it would be done to use for military purposes, because that's what they have on these islands, not just 10,000-foot runways, but cannons and missiles and the rest. So this is very dangerous that as we look at it and see the effect it's having on our allies there. But China is producing, at least in addition to their increased spending, at least a dozen warships a year, developing new long-range weapon systems and fifth-generation fighters, and after 3 years of significant increases in defense spending. So this is what's going on right now, and it's a major thing that is having an effect of challenging us in the United States as the body that would for leading the free world. So, Director Coates, let's start with you on your view. What do you think they're doing out there, specifically in that part of the China Sea, building that aggressive of a fortress out there? What do you think the reasoning is?
I think it's been very clear over the past few years that China is willing to take pretty extraordinary means in terms of expanding its influence, not only over the region, as you suggested, in South China Sea, but throughout the globe. The One Belt, One Road program for China, I have learned, I don't want to clarify the actual number, but a report was released recently on unclassified version that China will spend about $8 trillion in 68 different nations, establishing its geostrategic positioning that not only is economically for economic purposes and trade purposes, but also for facilities. South China Sea is one of the areas that they early started on, and really almost like we weren't all paying all that much attention to it. All of a sudden they had islands with, as you said, 10,000-foot runways, not just for bringing tourists over to enjoy the beaches, but also to establish military presence. Yeah. So they definitely are expanding their regional influence as well as their global influence. They're spending an extraordinary amount of money on that, as well as on upgrading their military, as General Ashley, noted in his remarks. Yeah. And it's become a world power, and that is their goal.
And they're using methods. Part of their goal is a goal of intimidation, because that's what's happening right now with our allies there. There's a fear that they have. Maybe they're looking at us and looking at China, wondering which one to side it with. What do you think?
Well, I've traveled to Asia, and I've talked with countries that are allies of the United States and want to be allies of the United States, but they fear the influence of China. They use a lot of loans, provide a lot of credit to these nations that is very attractive, nations that don't have those resources to build roads, to build facilities, but it is for a design purpose, and I think that is a threat to the future of America's influence around the world.
Yeah, I agree. General Ashley, the statement that was made, I used that in my opening statement, by our president back when Kim Jong-un made the threatening statements about what he was going to do with his nuclear button. And people were critical of our president, but he was saying something that came from the heart and was a reality in terms of the power that he has as president of the United States, and it worked. I mean, it was a matter of hours after that they contacted South Korea and said, we're going to join you in the Winter Olympics. Well, we were over there and we watched the effect that it had on people. And I agree when you said hope springs eternal. There's no reason to believe that Kim Jong-un is going to be a changed person. But I think the news last night that he's actually made a response to the message that was sent in that he's ready to negotiate, he's ready to stop his nuclear activity and testing. Do you share my somewhat optimistic view of what happened, General?
Senator, right now I don't share your optimism. That's kind of a show me. Mm-hmm. And so we'll see how this plays out. There could be a number of...
Okay, we'll write that down and we'll see who's right and who's wrong. Senator Reed.